So hey everyone, in this video we are going to display the map for the particular location of this property. Alright, so we are going to implement the Google geocoding, and we are going to place a pointer at this exact location which the user has provided. Alright, so we are going to display the map here. So we are going to use this particular library called React Google Maps /API, and this will give us a set of instructions how to exactly use the Google Maps. Okay, so all we just need to provide is the particular address which we need to pass in, and this will give us the coordinates. Okay, and this coordinates will be plotted inside our map. Okay, so we need to also get the API key from Google Maps. So let's go ahead and get that. So if you search for Google Maps API key, you can just click on this link which it shows up. Okay, so from the Google Maps platform, and just click on get started. So this will actually take you to the billing page. Okay, so you just need to provide your credit card information, but they won't charge you anything unless you exceed a limit. Okay, so after that they might charge you, but just for demonstration purpose we are not going to use this application so much, so we can safely provide our credit card, and Google is a platform where we can give our trust, and then we can just take their services. Okay, so you can just click on agree and continue, and here you just need to provide your payment information. Okay, so like how you want to pay, so add your payment method and click on start free. Okay, so once you do this, I have already set up my account, so that's why this is giving me an error of some kind. So once you do that, your billing account will be active for the Google Maps platform. Okay, so the next step is to log into your cloud console and select the particular project that you are working with. Okay, so since we already created this project while we are working with the Next authentication, so if you want you can just select this, otherwise anything else, so that's totally fine. So you can just click on the particular APIs and services. So once you click on this, you just need to enable certain services that are required for Google Maps to run. Okay, so if you just click on enable APIs and services, so this will take you to a page. So these are all the dependencies for Google Maps platform to actually work. Okay, so if you just click on view all, and you just need to select few services, and if I show you one, this is the geocoding API which you need to enable. So I have already enabled, so it's just showing like this, so it will just show you a button to enable, so you can just click on that. And apart from this, you also need the places API. Okay, so you just need to also enable this, and also finally the if you just scroll down a little bit, you will find maps JavaScript API. Okay, so you can also enable this. Okay, so they won't charge you for anything like for enabling APIs or anything, so these are all just free services. Only if you enable this will your maps actually work. So once you do this step, we just need to create a API key. All right, so now if we just go to the dashboard, okay, so click on credentials, and here I have already generated my Google Maps API key. So if you need another one, you can just click on create credentials and click on API key. Okay, so this will go ahead and create an API key for you, and you just need to store this within your .env file. Okay, so this is the API key, and if I just copy this, I can just go to my .env file and paste it over there, and we can use this anywhere within our project. Okay, so we can now go ahead and do this. So this is just a sample thing. I'll just delete this after this video. So I have already created my .env file, and I have already pasted my API key. Okay, so you too can do the same. So let's now move ahead with the video. So once this is done, we can now go ahead and install the npm package that I just showed you, that is React Google Maps. So I can just open another terminal and install that particular package. So that is @react-google-maps/API. Okay, so you can just hit enter, and this will install as a dependency for this project. So let's wait for it. Okay, so once this is done, we can now create a particular component to show the map component, okay, within our property page. Okay, so let's go into the components folder and create a component named map.tsx, and let's sketch our React component. And over here first we just need to import a few things from React Google Maps. Okay, so let's import those things. So the first thing is we need the hook called use.js API loader. Okay, so you see that you get some suggestions as well, and also we need the Google map. Okay, so this will be a component which we need to return as a JSX, and finally we need the marker. Okay, so this will just be a pointer which will mark at the exact location that we provide. So marker. Okay, so these are all coming from React Google Maps. So all we just need to now do is use this particular hook called use.js API loader and pass in our API key. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So use JS API loader, and inside this we just need to pass in the object with Google Maps API key and pass in that from the .env file. Okay, so that you get from process.env and whatever your name you have given. Okay, so that is I've named it as next public underscore public, so Google Maps API key. Okay, so make sure you add this next public before the name of the variable you give. Okay, so otherwise it will not work. So I just tried it without this, so it didn't work. So I just tried to find the solution. So we just need to add this particular prefix to the variable name. Okay, so once we do this, let's give the annotation, like let's say this is going to be a string, and also we need to pass in another parameter called as libraries, and we just need to pass in the library named places. Okay, so we have now configured Google Maps within our project. So we can just destructure few props from this particular hook, so that is loaded. Okay, to just check if the Google Maps is actually loaded, and we can just use this conditionally before rendering our Google Maps. Okay, so that it doesn't show us any error message. All right, so let's now create a state to store the map. So I'm just going to call this map and set this to use state, and the type of this is going to be Google dot maps dot the map constructor. Okay, so once this is done, we can just pass in the initial value of null. So initially this will be null, and also we need to let's also give this null for the type. Okay, so after this, let's also create another state to hold the marker position. So marker, set marker, and then pass in the initial values. So that is going to be the coordinates for the showing the particular marker. So this is going to be an array where this is going to be an object where we specify the latitude and longitude. So let's specify lat and set that initially to 0, and also the same for the longitude. So lng and set that to 0, and let's define the type for this. So again, this type is going to be from google.maps, and we just need to call the particular lat long literal. Okay, so that is coming from lat long literal. All right, so we can call this marker position. That would be a better name. Okay, so once this is done, we also need to receive the address. Okay, address of where we want to show the map from. Okay, so we can receive that in the form of props. Okay, so I'm just going to destructure address. Okay, and specify this to be of type string. All right, so once we have received that, we can run a use effect hook and check if the map is already loaded, and then we can create a function to handle the map logic. Okay, so to display the map. So let's create a use effect, and inside this this is going to take in a function, and for the dependency we are going to pass in the values of is loaded and also the address. Okay, so whenever these values change, this function will run again. Okay, so since this function is going to be an asynchronous function, I can just call this function somewhere else and mark that as async. So let's first put a condition here. So we want to only show the map only if it is loaded. Okay, so let's check if is loaded is true, and also we get the address. So if there's no address, there's no point in showing the map. So let's put in address, and then we want to call a particular function called as geocode address. Okay, so you can just name this function anything of your choice and then pass in our address. Okay, so let's create the particular function now. So const geocode address and set this to a function which is going to be an async function, and this is going to receive the address. So the address is going to be of type string. I think I forgot to close a bracket here. This should come here. Alright, so inside this, let us create the let us initialize the constructor of the Google geocoder. So we can just store that within a constant called, let's call it geocoder, and set this equal to new google.maps.geocoder, and we just need to call that. So this will create an instance of our geocoding map, and we just need to call a particular method called geocode and pass in our address. Okay, so geocoder.geocode and pass in our address. Okay, so this should be in the form of an object and pass in the particular address. So after that, we will receive a callback of two parameters. One is the results. Okay, so this will return as the latitude and longitude. Okay, so can name this results and also the status. Okay, so if the status is successful or not. So after this, we can, inside this particular function, can get the location from the from the results object. Okay, so let's create a const location and set that equal to results. Okay, so you get this in the form of an array. Okay, so you might get multiple locations also based on the addresses that you provide. So we are only interested in the first one, so that is the only address that we are providing, and this has a property called geometry, and then we have a property called location. Okay, so this will return us the coordinates. So we are getting some error here. So this is possibly null, so let's put a optional chaining here. So this is not working, so what we can just do is we can just put an if, and also let's check the status as well. So if the status is equal to OK, and also get this particular results, if we are getting the results, so results, and this particular object that we get. So if this is true, then we are going to pass this inside. Okay, so the error now goes away, so we don't need this optional chaining as well since we already made the check. So inside this location object will be the latitude and longitude for the address we provide. Okay, so we can just pass that into the marker position and store the particular value of our latitude and longitude. So let's set marker position and pass in the latitude to be the location dot lat, and this is going to be a function which we need to call it, and also the same for the longitude, location dot lng, and just call that. Yeah, so our marker position is set. So this is going to first check if the results, if we are getting any results. So if we are not getting any results, let's throw the error. So console.error, and then pass in the error, or we can say failed to get coordinates, and then pass in the particular status for the message. So once this is done, we can finally now render the Google Map component. Okay, so let's replace this div with our Google Map that we are importing from from React Google Maps. So inside this, we need to pass in a few props like the map container style. Okay, so how big we want the map container to be. So map container style, and set this equal to, just like how we provide styles in the style component. So let's provide the width to be 100%, so it should take the entire space. Okay, so basically we are using the 2/3 of the particular page, right? So it should use entirely of that. So let's set this to 100%, and also let's give the height to, let's say, 400 pixels. Okay, so you can just tweak in based on the size of your available space you have for your showing the Google component. So inside this Google map we are now going to show the marker. Okay, so let's import the marker and let's set the position to be the marker position that we have created the state. Okay, so marker position, and yeah, let's close this up. And once this is done, we can also provide few more props for this Google map container, like the what is going to be the center, and pass in the marker position, and also the zoom. So initially how zoomed it has to be once it points the marker to at that particular location. So I'll just set this to 15, so you can just play around how much level you want the zoom to be. And also we have another function called onload. Okay, so if it loads, what it has to do, we just need to set the value of map. So let's use a so once it loads, we receive map as a function argument, and we just need to set the value of map to the value we are receiving. All right, so once this is done, we can now use this particular map variable to show the location. Let's go right below this setting marker position, and we can just say map dot pan to. So this has a function called map2, and we now need to pass in the location. Okay, so this map is possibly null, so we just need to put a check if map and then pass in this. Alright, so once that's done, we can import this particular component within our property page. Okay, so let's go to the property page. So that is properties, inside that the ID. Okay, so let's go over there, and we can just go right above the contact form, and within the particular column, the left column, and we can now import the map component that we created, and then we just need to pass in the address. Okay, so the address we are getting in the form of props, I guess. Okay, so sorry, not props. So this particular property object, okay, that we are making a server action to get the property details based on the parameters, okay, that we provided, the ID of the property. We need to pass in the 4 attributes related to the property address. Okay, so that is the street, city, state, and the zip code. So let's provide them by we can just put in a template string and pass in those 4 values separated by a comma. So that is property dot street, and let's do the same for the other values as well, and separate that by a comma. And this is going to be the city, and then is the state, and then finally the zip code. Alright, so once this is done, let's close this up, and okay, so let's now go ahead and test this out. So I forgot to mark this map component as a client component, so which I usually forget. So let's do that. Okay, so with that saved, let's now go back and let's see if our map has been rendered. For some reason we do not see the map, so we are getting an error here saying Google is not defined. So basically this error appears only when you are trying to access the Google component before the Google window object isn't even defined. Okay, for that we can just put a simple check here saying if let's say is loaded. Okay, so that's what we are destructuring from this JS API loader. So that is if is loaded, then we just want to return. Okay, so we can just return by showing something. So we will return a skeleton component from design. Okay, so if you would have seen what a skeleton component is, right? So it will just show some few lines, and it will be like waving from left to right. So let's use a skeleton from Andy, and so this should be, if it is not loaded, then show a skeleton. So now if we just go back and try to refresh, and Yeah, there we go. So we see our Google Maps. Okay, so this is let's verify if this is pointing at the correct location. So this is just some random location which is from Whitefield in Bangalore, which is an area here. So you see that it is pointing at some random location, but it's exactly pointing at Whitefield. Okay, so let's now check for another property. So this property, okay, so it is in Yelahanka in Bangalore. So if I just click on this, and it should point to that particular location. Yeah, okay, so this is the, I guess, the location, because it's showing a different location this time. And if we just pass in a particular exact location, so it should point over there. Okay, so if you want, you can just try this on your own. So you can just provide your own location and just see if it is actually pointing at the exact location. Okay, so this should actually work, because Google is always very smart enough to point at the exact location. Okay, so I just tried this on my own, so it was actually working. And also optional, if you would like to memorize this component instead of recalling the same component after every subsequent page refresh. So what we can just do is we can export this particular function as a memoized component. Okay, so that is map, and we can just get rid of this export default. And yeah, so this memo is coming from React. All right, so this component you see it still works the same. Okay, so there are no errors. So this component will be cached. Okay, so it will not call this component every single time we re-render this page. Okay, so this will not call the Google API every time you load this page, so it will just use a cached version of this. So by this you also save some amount if you are scaling this for a large scale project, and also there are a lot of people visiting this page. Okay, so in order to reduce some cost, so you can just memorize this map component. So that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, so I'll just try to answer them. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.